The soda popper. Yeah, I love it.
There we go.
Are we firing off soda pop rounds?
There is a legitimate cannon,
What?
and I believe it takes rounds. It's made by X Products.
Okay.
You can load all kinds of fun stuff in there.
Wow.
You know, rubber balls or like soda cans. Beer cans would be blasphemous unless it's Bud Light. Then go for it. So yeah, it exists and it's awesome and it's hilarious. I like all the rubber wrap or the leather wrap. It could be like bike inner tube.
Yeah.
Is it killing me softly? Somebody had a double action shotgun, but they cut it so short that the actual plastic from the shells were sticking out of it.
Oh.
It's like, what the hell is that?
No!
Just the standard coach gun,
Sexy stacks,
super
man.
short. I want to see this pop can do something. I wonder if that's just a grip.
It looks like it's just for aesthetics.
Or
and
maybe
stuff, 'cause it looks like just your standard
charges it up
shotgun.
with like grape soda power.
It is purple.
Yeah, purpling it up. You do like purple.
I do like purple. You like purple.
The right kind of purple.
I like purple.
I mean, it's a quick reload, but I mean, so when you pop those open, usually there's a spring that will either pop them, throw them out completely, or it'll pop them out enough that you can take them and toss them. The best kind is just toss it.
No, wait a second. He's getting 2 shots out of this.
No.
So does it fire both rounds together?
It's doing one and then the other, and then he redoes it, and that's almost all of them. If it was at the same time, it's something called volley fire, and at least in the United States, you get into complications with
like
ATF.
your body
That would be
wash if you're even
considered
using
automatic
any.
if it's
Like
fired
maybe that's
more
just
than
something you have to
one at
start
a time.
doing.
Oh, interesting.
With most
And
of these
just make sure you
side-by-sides and
do, like,
over-unders, it's 1-2.
5 to 6 swipes of deodorant in the morning.
1-2. And you
Before you go
can
to school.
effectively run a coach gun. It's
Maybe
fine
if
for
you're like
defense,
sweaty, just do it
whether
again once you get
defense
home,
against predators or home defense.
It's like
I'd rather
basic
have a
hygiene
pump,
type
or
of
like
kind
if I
of
had the money, I'd get a.
You can do this. I'm here for you.
I don't know what you guys are talking about, but honestly, that is really. You should probably get on that. And we're all here for you, buddy. If you ever want to talk.
Yeah. Vince, like a lot of times people at my school, they just kind of come up to me and just give me dumps on what's going on, what's bothering them. So you're completely fine to talk to me if you have hygiene issues. I mean, because some people just struggle with that. So we're not judging. Yo, Purple Chocolate, are you there? Can you hear me?
Hello.
Have you heard about Vince? Vince Blake, he's on our team. Yeah, you've heard about him too? Yeah, exactly. Is Jason telling you about him?
Have you guys tried accepting G?
Tried what?
Accepting G.
What's that?
What's what?
Accepting G.
Accepting Jesus into your heart as your personal Lord and Savior. Ha! Saved him!
Mission ends in 60 seconds.
Nah, man, I'm sorry. I can't. I got a backup basketball practice on Sundays.
Ends in 30 seconds.
There's a password. Oh, here we go. Here it comes. Oh, perfect. Guess how many wires?
Mission ends in 10.
In 2 weeks, there has been 2 major cases where video game taunting has become a massive, massive issue online.
Hey guys, have you tried accepting G?
An Apex tournament where one player teabagged his teammate and the entire team got banned from all future.
Accepting Jesus into your heart as your personal Lord and Savior. Ah! Saved him!
Is there something behind it? Our sentry is hitting something.
Like the ultimate.
Oh, there is. There's a teleporter behind us.
If you don't know, and I already know you all do, but I just want to explain
Oh,
it
fuck.
further. Teabagging in games is when you go over someone's body and you crouch up and down a few times. That's it. That's all. That's what's starting all of this controversy. And today, we reached the boiling point that's confirmed that we live in Weenie Hut Juniorville. 2 players were banned for talking about that Twitter thread about teabagging and sexual assault. They made posts saying that it's very silly and disrespectful to compare teabagging to sexual assault, which it objectively is. Anyone with half a brain would agree that it is outright disgusting to compare video game crouching to fucking sexual assault in the real world. It is asinine, and it's just downright wrong. And today, 2 pro players were officially banned by Riot Games for their statements on that subject. They made posts saying that it's wrong to compare crouching up and down in a video game to sexual assault, calling it silly, calling it stupid, and they received competitive bans from Riot Games. And not only that, they got doxxed by Riot publicly. Their full names in the headline of their bans. And their names, they didn't have public. They didn't want their full names out there. Instead of just giving their gamer tags or their their handles online, they gave their full fucking names. Just a huge, stinky, embarrassing blunder from Riot here. I think it's been, what, like 2 weeks? I made a video called Horrible Tweet I Can't Stop Thinking About, and it was all about that huge Twitter debate, wrong word for it, that huge Twitter clownery where someone made a giant thread all about how teabagging in video games is sexual assault. I'm sure you all remember that, right? A Twitter user made a giant case for why teabagging in Valorant is the same thing as real-world sexual assault, and it's traumatizing, this and that. Very silly stuff, very goofy. That was top-tier Chef Kiss's goofiness. And today, as of 7 hours ago, it turns out the account that posted that initially was affiliated with a professional Valorant team, as I understand it, and 2 people that also clowned on it on Twitter, who were professional Valorant pros, got banned for it. So, I'm doing more than Riot did. They straight up doxed them. So, the 2 pros that obviously joked about that horrible take on teabagging being sexual assault, they got competitively banned. And then Riot doxed them. They said, like, in order to protect the identity of the person who started the tweet, we've kept their identity to person A. And then in the next sentence says, but these 2 pros, and gives their full name, both of their names, not like their gamer tags or anything, just their full names, and said, but these 2 are now banned for vulgar language against this user. We will not accept it. One of the people made a post talking about how this dox has actually affected them in the real world. So apparently, like, a classmate of theirs saw this announcement and then asked if that was them that they were talking about. So it's already, like, their identity being leaked like this has already had negative implications for them in the real world. It's unbelievable. All over teabagging equals sexual assault nonsense. What tournament are they banned from? They are banned from the entire Valorant Pro League. Like, they cannot be affiliated with anything Riot sanctioned. Got banned for talking shit. They weren't even, like, talking shit against the person who made the post. They were just pointing out how outrageous it was to claim that teabagging is the same thing as sexual assault. Like, they weren't even, like, attacking the actual poster. Scribble faster. Oh, I'm trying to. By the end of this, I'm going to end up with, like, a repeated stress injury to my wrist from having to censor their names so many times here. Because Riot couldn't be bothered. It looks like a goddamn CIA classified document with a bunch of, like, redacted all over it. Yeah, so this is the start of their statement here. So that, again, that Twitter thread was started by a member of Galorants, apparently. I'm not super familiar with Galorants. From a glance, I looked them up. It seems like it's like a Discord community that's all about, like, welcoming all kinds of people in there. I suppose. I don't really know. I don't think the Galorants had anything to do with this ban. I don't think they mass reported these 2 players or anything. So I don't know for sure, but I don't think they did. This seems like it was Riot just putting their own dick in their ass. So I think their Galorants is probably hands clean of this. But yeah, so the two players made posts on Twitter regarding that Twitter thread, and Riot is saying that it was targeted harassment and vulgar language against members of that community, which is a violation of their rules. So they've been banned from Riot-sanctioned events for, oh, well, one player's been banned from Riot-sanctioned events for 3 months, and then the other one I think is 9. Yeah, 9. This was one of them. I believe Dawn got 3 months, yep. I don't think I need to say much more. I shitposted on Twitter, and apparently it's vulgar language. Thousands of other people, including pro players and streamers, have done it, but nothing for them. Below is all the evidence that Riot sent me. Feel free to look at them and find the vulgar speech that I used. Oh, and in regards to the doxing, thanks for leaking my full name. People from school are texting me about it. So this is one of them. Pretty standard dunk. Nothing alarming there. Nothing that's gonna have you go like, oh, too far. And then again, this one's just, it's not that deep. I don't know why Kurapika's here, but that's kind of epic. This one's just a meme. Like, it's not even vulgar language, so it doesn't even fit. And this one, I guess, could be construed as like a threat. I suppose. I don't really know. So even if you really want to play hardball, like you can't say naughty things to other members of the Valorant esports community. Like, they really didn't. They didn't even say anything vulgar. It was just like general tweets. Like, hey, this is stupid. This is dumb. I want to quickly just come in here like a jump scare and let you all know that I actually talked to both Dawn and Rizora, the two people who were banned here, to get a deeper insight on things. I asked them if they like actually did target or harass the girl who initially posted the thread, like if they went into Discord and started insulting her or shit-talking her in her Discord or anything like that. And Dawn confirmed everything that they were punished for was the Twitter posts. Dawn had never gone into the Discord or even mentioned the girl or anything like that, never attacked her, harassed her, anything like that. And Rizora also said something similar. However, Rizora did make like videos about it, as well as talking in the Discord about it, getting into like arguments in the Discord. So Rizora was a little more direct with the community, whereas Dawn only made Twitter posts. So there, in both cases here, I don't think there's any argument for any like actual harassment or targeted attacks. It seems like both of them were just attacking the point that she was making with teabagging is sexual assault, which is a terrible point to make and deserves to be insulted and criticized, because that kind of thinking is not okay, and it is a complete slap in the face to actual sexual assault victims. So I don't think there's any case to be made that Rizora and Dawn were like maliciously attacking or ruthlessly harassing the original poster of that Twitter thread. Why is there like no one talking about this? That's what I was surprised about. I thought this would be big news. Like, there's an actual war on teabagging going on right now in gaming. It's fucking wild. And I'll address this right now, since people keep bringing it up. Yes, I really ate my own words here. I'll come here and publicly eat shit and say I was wrong. There was a case of someone getting teabagged in a real-life sport this week. Paddy the Batty, Pimblet, teabagged his opponent after choking him out in the octagon. So, yes, teabagging does happen in real sports too. And you know what happened to Paddy the Batty? The guy that got teabagged was laughing, Paddy was laughing, the commentators were laughing, and the whole world found it to be entertaining. It's just fucking video games where virtual teabagging is apparently the devil.
You said this week you knew he was going to shoot this in the There we go. Not like you're doing your homework.
See, like that's, again, I like it, it's good, I like where his heart's at, but the technique is not great. That is amateurish technique at absolute best. Rookie shit. Only 2 pumps, and for some reason has his hands straight up, like that's just not even proper teabagging technique, but I do love that he pioneered it into the real world of sports. And I fucking love Paddy the Batty, I think that guy's amazing. Probably tired. Yeah, I mean, again, heart was in the right place, we just gotta work on that technique for the next one. But back on topic. Point is, teabagging is not a big deal, no matter how desperately gaming companies as well as delusional gamers want to pretend it is.
Competition begins in 30 seconds. Competition begins in 10 seconds. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Let's begin. Flipping. Flipping.
No power classes, no medics, let's go.
We have 3 scouts, a demo, and a soldier. How is that no power classes?
Oh, yeah, it's got the power class, yeah.
Spies calling here.
Alert. The control point is being contested. We have lost the control point. The control point is being captured. We have secured our control point is being captured. We have captured the control point.
near Scott.
We have secured the control point. Victory.
So easy being me.
Good luck.
Activate the charge, Doctor.
We have captured the control point.
Hey, Spy, it's calling.
Hey boys, it's a spy.
Thanks, Pally. Hit it, Doc.
Spy disguised as Pyro.
I don't know why I'll have the pipe.
What?
Yeah, I changed class bow because that's like a demo. Hopefully I don't take that sniper. If I play Scout, I'm just gonna throw the team, so yeah.
Doc, come on, man. Spy. Spy over here.
Alert. The control point is being captured.
Headshot soldier. I'm so fun, man.
My suit.
Alert. The control point is being contested.
Scout, please. No. Oh, that was a spy.
I think I'll be talking to President Xi within the next 10 days.
This will be a significant conversation when it happens. There are a lot of things on the U.S.-China agenda right now, and a lot of really delicate and tricky things.
I think I'll be talking to President Xi within the next 10 days.
Do it quickly, do it quietly. Just get it done, Spy.
We have secured the control point. The control point is being captured.
This will be a significant conversation when it happens. There are a lot of things on the U.S.-China agenda right now, and a lot of really delicate and tricky things that have the potential to explode into something that neither country would probably want, should there be any kind of miscalculation or misunderstanding of the other's position. And so that's why this kind of call at the leaders level is very important. So it is difficult, if not impossible, to carry on good international relations hygiene without there being discussions between the leaders of the world's two largest economies, and also, I might mention, two of the world's largest polluters when it comes to emissions that cause climate change. In addition to that, you have issues that are at the front and center, ranging from Taiwan to Hong Kong to human rights in Xinjiang and Western China to the Chinese actions in the South China Sea.
Are you willing to get involved militarily to defend Taiwan if it comes to that?
Yes.
Good morning. I think that it's important for us to show support for Taiwan. I also think that none of us has ever said we're for independence when it comes to Taiwan.
The Chinese are extremely sensitive about the issue of Taiwan. This is the number one thing that they raise in every single meeting that they ever have with U.S. officials, and complain about the support that the U.S. is giving to Taiwan, and accuse the U.S. of backsliding on its one China policy. The concern right now from the White House, from the Pentagon, from the State Department, from the intel community, is that the Chinese would see a visit by Speaker Pelosi right now, at this point in time, just a couple months before the Party Congress, and just about a month before the UN General Assembly, before all of these other big international summits at which President Xi and President Biden are both expected to attend, as a real insult, as a real affront. They might be more inclined to take a stronger response than they might otherwise be expected to.
Overhear me so I can kill the sniper.
The 1918 Nobel Prize for Chemistry is probably the most important Nobel Prize ever awarded. It was given to German scientist Fritz Haber for solving one of the biggest problems humanity has ever faced. His invention is directly responsible for the lives of 4 billion people today. But when he received his prize, many of his peers refused to attend. 2 other Nobel Prize winners rejected their awards in protest, and the New York Times wrote a scathing article about him. He is simultaneously one of the most impactful and tragic scientists of all time. Perhaps more than any other single person, he has shaped the world we live in today. Part of this video is sponsored by Ren. More about them at the end of the show. If you are an American citizen and you find an island with a lot of bird poop on it, well then you can claim that island for the United States, and the US will have your back. The president is authorized to send in the Navy and the Army to defend your newly discovered poop-covered island. There are currently 10 American islands that were claimed in this way. And even though the law that made this possible was passed in 1856, it is still in effect to this day. So why did people want poop-covered islands so badly? There are a few dozen islands off the coast of Peru where millions of seabirds gather to mate. And the waters near the island are full of fish. And these millions of birds eat the fish, and then they poop. A lot. Since the region is hot and dry, this poop solidifies and accumulates over millennia. There are cliffs of bird poop 30 meters or 100 feet high. Technically, bird poop is called guano, and by the mid-1800s, buying and selling bird guano was big business. The price rose as high as $76 per pound, meaning you could trade 4 pounds of guano for 1 pound of gold. So why was there such a big market for bird poop? Well, to answer that, we have to look inside the human body. By weight, most of our bodies are made up of oxygen, carbon, and hydrogen. But the 4th most common element is nitrogen. Nitrogen is part of the amino acids that form proteins. It's part of hemoglobin, the compound that carries oxygen in red blood cells. And it's a central component of DNA and RNA. Nitrogen is essential for all life on Earth. We get our nitrogen by eating plants, or animals which have eaten plants. And plants get their nitrogen from the soil. The problem is, if you farm the same soil year after year, you harvest the nitrogen out of it. And eventually, there isn't enough nitrogen for healthy plants to grow. They can't produce enough chlorophyll to photosynthesize, which stunts their growth. Their leaves turn yellow, and they are more susceptible to pests and disease, Crucially for farmers, nitrogen deficiency means smaller yields. The way to fix this is to add nitrogen back into the soil, which is where bird guano comes in. Guano is up to 20% nitrogen. Hundreds of years ago, Incan farmers realized that adding guano to their soil made crops grow taller. This is what allowed them to grow food in places that were previously unfarmable and expand their empire. South America's rich deposits of bird poop did not go unnoticed by the rest of the world. In 1865, Spain went to war against its former colonies of Peru, Chile, Ecuador, and Bolivia for control of their guano-laden islands. But such was the world's appetite for nitrogen that by 1872, guano was running out, and Peru banned further exports. The world would need another way to get its nitrogen fix. This was a crisis. William Crookes, a British chemist, made a dire prophecy in 1898. With the world's growing population and dwindling supplies of nitrogen, he said, "We stand in deadly peril of not having enough to eat. In less than 30 years' time," he argued, "people all over the world will be dying of starvation." But he also proposed a solution. It is the chemist who must come to the rescue. It is through the laboratory that starvation may ultimately be turned into plenty.
Because here's the thing, nitrogen isn't rare, it's common. 78% of the air is nitrogen. But it's in a form that plants and animals can't use. 2 atoms of nitrogen triple bonded together. This bond is one of the strongest in nature. The way to measure the strength of a chemical bond is by the amount of energy that's required to break it. So, to break apart 2 chlorine atoms, for example, would take 2.5 electron volts. To break apart 2 carbons requires 3.8 eV. 2 oxygens, 5.2 eV. But to break apart 2 atoms of nitrogen requires 9.8 electron volts, a tremendous amount of energy.
There are 2 processes that do this naturally. Lightning releases so much energy it breaks apart N2 into individual nitrogen atoms. They then quickly react to form nitrogen oxides. These molecules stay in the atmosphere until they react with water droplets in clouds and fall to the ground in rain. There are also a few types of bacteria living in soil that can break the N2 bond, using a tremendous amount of energy to do so. And they make nitrogen available for plants.
But bacteria only replenish the nitrogen slowly, and there's not enough lightning to produce nitrogen compounds at scale. So chemists tried.
In 1811, Georg Hildebrandt mixed nitrogen and hydrogen in a sealed flask, trying to make ammonia, one of the nitrogen-containing molecules found in guano. When that didn't work, he submerged the flask 300 meters underwater to increase the pressure. That didn't work either, but he was on the right track.
Increasingly sophisticated versions of these experiments were carried out over the following 100 years. All of them failed.
So when Fritz Haber became interested in this problem in 1904, he was joining a long line of failed chemists. He was 36 years old, working as a low-level academic at the University of Karlsruhe. He was also a new father, with a 2-year-old boy named Hermann and a wife, Clara, who was one of the first women to get a PhD in chemistry. Driven by pride and competition with another scientist, Haber spent 5 years on the problem. His idea was to combine nitrogen and hydrogen not only at high pressure, but also at high temperature, and in the presence of a catalyst, something that lowers the amount of energy required to split diatomic nitrogen. To do this, new experimental apparatus had to be invented. Haber worked tirelessly on this project, building equipment that could tolerate ever higher temperatures and pressures.
He also got lucky. At the time, he was moonlighting as a technical consultant for a light bulb manufacturer. So there he had access to lots of really hard to find materials, like the element osmium.
Osmium is rare. In his day, there was only about 100 kilograms of the refined metal in existence. But the company he worked for was experimenting with using it for filaments in their light bulbs, so they had most of the world's supply. Haber suspected it might make the perfect catalyst, so he brought a sample back to his lab. And there, in the third week of March 1909, Haber placed his sheet of osmium in the pressure chamber, and then he pressurized and heated the nitrogen and hydrogen to 200 atmospheres and 500 degrees Celsius. Under these conditions, the triple bonds broke apart, and nitrogen reacted with hydrogen. Of the total gas mixture, 6% turned into ammonia. When the gas was cooled, 1 milliliter of ammonia dripped out the end of a narrow tube into a beaker. An elated Haber rushed from one lab to another, yelling, "Come on down! There's ammonia!" Germany's biggest chemical company, BASF, commercialized Haber's process. Within 4 years, they had opened a factory in Oppau, producing 5 tons of ammonia per day. People spoke of making bread from the air. With the fertilizer from this industrial process, on the same plot of land, farmers were able to grow 4 times as much food. And as a result, the population of the Earth quadrupled. There's a good chance you owe your life to Haber's invention. The Earth supports 4 billion more people today than it could without nitrogen fertilizer. In fact, around 50% of the nitrogen atoms in your body came from the Haber process.
How are we losing?
The invention made Fritz Haber a wealthy man. He got a promotion, becoming the founding director of the Kaiser Wilhelm Institute for Physical Chemistry in Berlin. He also befriended some of the best scientists of his day, including Max Planck, Max Born, and Albert Einstein. After Einstein separated from his first wife in 1914, he stayed the night at Haber's house. But if Haber was so well regarded, why was he shunned by colleagues when he won the Nobel Prize? Well, it all comes down to what happened in World War I. When the war broke out, Haber volunteered for military duty. Unlike pacifist Einstein, who denounced the war, Haber was a patriot. He wanted to use his expertise to help his country. Only a few months into the war, the German army was already running out of gunpowder and explosives. Ammonium nitrate, besides being an excellent fertilizer, is also an explosive. Just look at what happened in Beirut in August of 2020.